What's going on, Flames Nation? And welcome to the 2-0 party, the Week 3 edition of the Sea of Red Football Podcast. I am joined with the man who is all things a Sea of Red, who is all things Liberty Athletics, the notorious J-O-N, John Manson. John, how we living today?
You said it all, man. 2-0, Richie. Can't be much better. Can't be any better. 2 weeks into the season. Offense looked really good. Caden Salter looked really good. You're rocking the Malik Willis 7 NIL OG shirt tonight. We're ready to go.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie, John. I think after that, the first two drives, I think there was a bit of a panic. I remember looking on social media and after Salter's fumble, and that was really his only mistake he's had all season. Thank you, Paul. I think there was that. Oh my gosh, Diego just drove down the field and scored. We got into the red zone and there was a fumble. And then after that, it was, I think everyone kind of had was able to breathe a sigh of relief approaching halftime and then beyond. But it really was that initial, oh my gosh, what's happening? Did you get that same vibe? You were in the press box. What was that feeling for you like after that Salter fumble?
Oh, yeah. Back up to their original drive when they got the ball in 6 plays, 65 yards. They scored a touchdown. We're pretty much moving the ball at will against us. It was a little scary, a little bit of flashbacks to last November. Same place, same teams, different coaches. And then, Liberty responded. We came right back down, got back into, I think we were down to around the 30, maybe just inside the 30-yard line, and Caden fumbles. And I had a little bit of nerves, because I'm sitting there thinking, oh, no, here we go. We've seen this before. But to the defense's credit, they came back and got a quick 3 and out. And then from there, the offense was pretty much unstoppable the rest of the night, scored on 6 straight drives and kind of, seized control of the game, especially with that, that Bryling. I really think that Bryling Green INT right before halftime, and then we turned around and got 3 points on the board going into halftime, and then I think that turned it. And then that 9+ minute drive to open the second half, where we go up by 2 scores at that point in time, that kind of just cemented New Mexico State's fate. They were just down in the dumps, and we took any little bit of momentum that they may have, any little bit of hope that they might have, and just buried it and never looked back from there.
No, I agree. And I think it speaks to such a testament of the maturity of Caden Salter for him to come back from that fumble and throw one of the best balls I have ever seen in my entire life. I think of right off the bat, I think of Buckshot's throw to AGG against Rutgers. I think of Caden Salter's throw right there. That is as good as you're going to see it. And to bounce back from the fumble and play a near perfect game the rest of the way. But yeah, after that first drive, I was like, oh, is Jamie Chadwell going to Michigan State? Are we doing this again? But it swung itself back. So as always,
real quick before we go any further, I just wanted to jump in there and say, I really think, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I really think this offense has a chance to be special. I mean, if you're a defensive coordinator, what do you try to take away? We've got 3 running backs that we've seen so far, Vaughn Blue, Billy Lucas, and Quentin Cooley, that can run for 100 yards. We saw basically 2 of them do it. Then you got Caden Salter, which we know what he can do with his legs. And then you throw in that triple option, and then also his ability to make passes downfield. I think as long as we don't shoot ourselves in the foot with turnovers, this offense can be one of the best we've seen here in a long time. And that's no offense to Malik Willis or any other recent player or Buckshot Calvert. I think this offense has a chance to be very special.
It is, and it's not just one-dimensional. It's not just two-dimensional. We talked earlier in the beginning of the year on the pre-show talking about that tight end piece, and I think that is going to be we saw another touchdown from a tight end on Saturday, and I think going forward, it really is, like you said, teams are going to have to kind of pick your poison and try to stop one piece of it. But there's no better 2 people to talk about, especially about Liberty's offense, than our 2 next guests. You saw them last week. You're going to see them next week, and you're going to see them this week. We are going to be joined live by Mr. Jason Porter and Liberty offensive lineman Mr. Brendan Schlittler.
Hello, hey guys.
Hey, how we doing, guys?
What's up? What's up?
Jason, how's it going tonight? Get another win on the airwaves with Mr. Alan York. How did everything go for you up in the booth?
Yeah, it was great. It was a super exciting game to call, and you guys alluded to it in the intro here, talking about it. It was just a lot of fun watching the activity, and man, Flames Nation was alive. Williams Stadium was rocking.
Yeah, it definitely was. And Brendan, glad to have you back with us again tonight. And one thing that I've kind of taken away from these first two games is that offensive line just seems to be next level. We've seen improvement in that group, I think, each of the last couple of years. But Jordan White at center, he had a couple penalties on him. But he seems to be a really good player for us. We know what Xavier can do. I think Xavier Gray has really slid in there and done a great job. Do you feel like this unit, sans Mr. 5-5, is doing a great job, kind of leading the way for that offense?
Yeah, I think what this offensive line has been able to do so far has been pretty special. As you said, the O-line has kind of hurt us before, and I think what they've been able to do through the first two games has been promising. And I remember, months ago, knowing Jordan came in and Xavier came in, and you kind of look at these pieces, Jack Tucker, and you're like, man, you don't know until you face the bullets, but this group can be special. And it's an older group. We got a lot. I mean, I think the youngest starter is like in his third or fourth year of football, so it's a very veteran group, a lot of starts, and these guys work every single day. I think the biggest thing, I think we're going to get better throughout the season. There's little things we can all work on, and they're working on them every single week. So hopefully what we see last week and the week before is just going to continue to get better.
Brendan, I know we've talked about it a little bit. Your perspective has definitely changed here, being on IR and getting up and down the field. The sidelines on crutches, be careful, please. Old athletic trainer here. But game two now at this point behind you, and you're seeing a whole different side of the game. What do you think is to kind of piggyback on John's point here, what do you think one of the biggest differences is between this year's O-line and last year's O-line, and just kind of compare and contrast for us a little bit?
Honestly, I think these coaches are doing a great job at playing to our strengths and putting these guys in great positions to succeed. So, when it's not third and long, we're not going to take a massive deep set at pass pro. We're going to go attack the guy, make him think it's a run block. So simple stuff like that, just helping the guys win the reps and dominate throughout the game. I also think it has to do with the mindset. You've heard the term strike the stone, and we just keep chopping wood and we keep going no matter what the circumstances. So, we had 4 holding calls on Saturday, but besides that, those guys threw it away and they just kept going. They kept going. So, they've just done a great job at putting these guys in the position to succeed and use their strengths to their abilities.
As always, the Live with 5-5 segment with Brendan Schlittler is sponsored by RT Rogers Oil Company. Brendan, tell us a little bit about RT Rogers.
Yes, sir. Forgot my hat, but RT Rogers, based out of West Virginia, oil company that serves the many states surrounding petroleum and heating oil and all that stuff. So as the winter months come and the cold weather is coming in, make sure you hit them up at rtrogers.com for any oil needs.
Brendan, so take us back to that game, the second half, coming out of the locker room. We talked about it, Richie and I, just a minute ago. That 9-minute drive, it seemed like that kind of took a lot of the wind out of the sails of New Mexico State. Anything they had left, coming off that pick by Brylan Green and the field goal there just before the halftime. Is that a drive that you think can, one, give the offense extra, momentum and rejuvenation, extra life going into that last half of the game? And two, what about what does that do for the defense? What do you think that does for the Liberty defense? Because they're seeing this Liberty offense take most of the clock off, milk it away in the third quarter, and then they're coming in after that touchdown to go up by 2 scores.
Yeah, so going into this game, Coach Chabel talked to the captains. He said, we got to come out faster in the second half, and that's something he emphasized throughout the week in practice. And at halftime, usually most coaches will, they'll meet with their coordinators, and then the coordinators will talk with the position coaches, and they kind of talk for about 5 to 6 minutes, and then they address the team. And while that, the players usually eating, using the bathroom, refueling. But this time was the first time I've seen it. He walked in and he called the team up the second halftime started, and he got our attention. He's like, "This is what we're going to do. This is what we have. This is where we're going to refocus." And I mean, he set the tone, and we went out there, had a 9-minute, 18-play drive. It doesn't get much better than that. I don't even know the mathematical possibilities if we can go longer, but I know we had a couple penalties in there and overcame them, so that's kind of hard to do. But to your point, anytime you keep the defense, your own defense off the field, it's great. Obviously, a couple injuries, Kendy's down. You got to keep those D-line fresh. So I think the offensive line, the offense in general, had like 81 plays. Defense was like low 50s. So anytime you can do that, the defensive coaches are thanking you. So those guys did a great job coming out in the second half and really taking what he said to heart.
Yeah, one of the things we saw, Brandon, to that point, man, it just looked like the defense for New Mexico State was gassed, and they were tired of putting helmet to helmet on Cooley, among others. But with that segue, talk to us about the difference and how special it is. We kind of talked about this at the beginning too, but Quentin Cooley, Vaughn Blue, Billy Lucas, and how diverse those three are in their running styles, and just what that does offensively for you guys.
I mean, it truly is with Caden, it's a quadruple-headed monster. I don't know, as John and Richie mentioned, I don't know how you prepare for it. You got to take away one and just let the other three make you bleed. So pick your poison is the name of the game. Those guys all have different running abilities, and, again, the coaches use them to their strengths. So Quentin taking the dive and Vaughn out in space, and Billy can do, honestly, anything. He was out in space running downhill. So those guys are just dogs, and to see them run like that, and we call them dirty yards. So anytime, you get hit 2 or 3 yards in and you go for a dirty 4 or 35, that's what matters. You're going to hit home runs, but it's getting those first and 10 goes to second and 5 into the second and 8. It's a big difference. So those guys do a great job with that. And I mean, it was fun while I was blocking for them, and I can't wait to get back. But I know that O-line loves carrying that group.
Well, Brendan, last question for you before we let you go. Tell us a little bit about Coach Durkin. I mean, he's a new face for you guys, leading you this year, offensive line coach, and I believe it's the third offensive line coach you've had during your career. What's unique about him? What type of energy does he bring to you guys?
I know this is wild. He's actually my fourth offensive line coach.
Oh, wow.
So, but Coach Dirk's awesome. He's been real since day one. He's transparent. He just made it clear. He said, I want to make you the best player you can be from day one. And he's going to tell you the truth, and he's going to encourage you the whole way through. So as far as developing guys, he's done a great job with these young guys. Most ready I've seen a young group ready to go if, the redshirt rule wasn't in place. And, I mean, he's done a great job catering to each player. He knows each player is different. They have their own, tangibles, and he kind of crafts around that. He's not like my way or the highway all the time. So he lets the guys work within his system with their own strengths. He's been great, and I can't wait to get back for him. So
that's awesome. Well, we're looking forward to you getting back on the field later in the season and continue to heal up, rest up, and supporting and coaching up these guys from the sidelines. But Brendan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Thanks,
B.
So JP, tell us a little bit. What's the most important service? We talk a lot of different services you provide and you offer to your clients. What's the most important one?
Yeah, I think one of the ones that's probably underlooked a little bit and undervalued is, if I can be so bold, is my Rolodex. And what I mean by that specifically, John, is if you guys are buying a property from me, one of the things that I always tell my buyers and sellers is my Rolodex is your Rolodex. And what I mean by that is specifically when it comes to trades guys, plumbers, electricians, service guys, technicians, all those things. After years of doing this now, we've got a pretty extensive Rolodex, if you will, and those guys that do work for me that I can recommend to my clients and customers are incredible at their craft, very, 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 very well trained and skilled. So that's probably one of the biggest services that we really enjoy providing, is just giving some recommendations of trusted folks in their chosen field and business.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much every night, every week for joining us, Jason, and look forward to you get to make the trip up to Buffalo. Hopefully I'll run into you up there and we can bring back another W.
Yes, sir. It'll be fun. By the way, I see the Buffalo Bulls are pound the rock, and we're strike the stones. There's a lot of rocks being broken apparently this weekend.
A lot of rocks being broken. Let's hope that the stone prevails over the rock.
Amen. Amen.
All right. Thanks, Jason. We'll catch with you next week.
All right, we are back, and we are joined. I'm back. Kyle's back. John is joining us. We are live again with a gentleman who has done all things at Liberty. He is Kyle DeArmond. Kyle, how we doing this Tuesday night?
Hey, good evening. Good evening. How we doing? I'm doing great over here. You guys doing good?
Yeah. It's Tuesday night. We're excited to talk some Liberty football, and they kind of
See a
talk
red
about
podcast night. I mean, you can't get better, right?
This is it. And just think, in a couple weeks, Tuesday night, we're going to be getting to actually watch Liberty play. So it's going to be different. But we'll worry about that all later because we have a game coming up. We have a game coming up against Buffalo. We got New Mexico in the rearview mirror, and we are facing off against a Buffalo team that is coming off of a pretty bad loss. When I saw that they lost to Fordham, I went, Fordham still has a football team? Thought they folded like Hofstra. So kind of a surprise to me. But Kyle, talk about this from a coaching standpoint. As a former coach, you're playing against a team that is coming off of a bad loss. What are you telling your players? What's the outlook like? What are some of the talking points going into the week?
Well, I think first of all, internally as a coaching staff, you're like, dang it. Like that is the worst thing that can happen, because all it does is it gives fuel to the fire for Buffalo because their backs are against the wall. They just lost to an FCS team and they're not overlooking Liberty, and they got their wake up call early in the season. They got their wake up call week 2. So, I think that it is the worst thing that could probably happen to us is that they lost to Fordham because this early in the season with their conference, with the MAC still in front of them, there's a lot of things that they can do. And so you kind of have your come to Jesus moment and your come to Jesus meeting as a team. And you say, hey, that can't happen again. And we have to prepare harder. You have to practice harder and you have to give everything that you got on the field. So from Liberty's standpoint, not great that they lost to Fordham. I would rather had Buffalo blow them out, feel good and feel great. And, roll into Liberty just preparing like they have in the weeks past. But, I think from probably Coach Chadwell's point of view, it's, hey, he's probably telling them the same thing of just a little bit of like, hey, they're, with this loss, this is still a really good football team that just got caught. And so now they're going to prepare harder. So we have to prepare for them. We can't go into this game thinking they lost to an FCS team. Like, yikes. I mean, you look back, I was thinking back, it was kind of the opposite way for us, but like back in 2010, we beat Ball State and then go to Robert Morris and we lose, coming off a high, there's been other instances for sure, where Liberty has done that. You beat Montana in 2015 and then you go and lose to Southern Illinois. So, I mean, it's the same thing, just flipped, obviously, where you lose to a team and then, you may have the opportunity to have a big win. So I think that they need to buckle up because it's going to be a tough game for sure.
Yeah, and I think Coach Chadwell earlier today in his press conference kind of alluded to some of what he will be telling the team. What he's already told the team is that this is the best team, most talented team that Liberty's faced so far this season. Third game of the season, and Buffalo is not a stranger to getting off to slow starts. Last year they started off 0-3 and won 7 of their last 10 to finish up 7-6, made it to a bowl game, won that bowl game. And one thing that I think is kind of interesting with this game that may go a little bit underappreciated is Coach Chadwell, this Liberty coaching staff, has faced Buffalo each of the last 2 seasons. Of course, they were at Coastal Carolina, so it was different players on that side of the ball for the Chanticleers. And then, you go into this game, both coaching staffs know each other. They know their strengths, their weaknesses, their tendencies, that sort of thing. Kyle, how much do you think that might have an impact on this game as far as both coaching staffs being familiar with each other, maybe not necessarily the personnel, especially on Liberty's side, but still knowing each other as far as the coaching staffs and their philosophies?
Well, I think from Buffalo's perspective and from Liberty's, you kind of have a game plan that you had, probably more so for Buffalo because it's most of the same staff and they're running the same type of offense and defense, but you kind of have a game plan that you had used going against, from Buffalo's perspective. Let's talk about their defense. They have a game plan that they use going against Jamie Chadwell and his offense at Coastal Carolina. You can peek into that a little bit. You have film from Coastal. You already have film in the system. You don't have to wait for film to get there. Yeah, you have stuff that you kind of already have prepared that you can use to help yourself get ready a little bit earlier. And then from Liberty's perspective, I mean, it's the same thing. It's different players, but for the coaching staff, they're familiar with Buffalo. They're familiar with the trip. They're familiar. They have a lot of a lot of things that they know about that experience up there that will hopefully help them. But like Coach said, you're going on the road with this team, first time that you've gone on the road with the Liberty guys and those players, and so we'll see how they respond. But I think it definitely gives a leg up for the coaching staff. Obviously, it probably doesn't help the players at all. They don't really know what they're looking forward to or kind of looking at for this weekend, but definitely would helps the coaching staff prepare.
No, that's great insight, Kyle. Thank you again for joining us Tuesday night. Thank you to everyone who's tuning in live. If you are tuning in live, whatever platform you are watching us on, make sure you like, subscribe, all that fancy stuff that the kids talk about. It helps us out a ton. Buffalo has a pretty good quarterback. He has no turnovers on the year. Yes, I know they just lost to Fordham and we just kind of talked it up, but I think he's 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. They have not turned the ball over a ton, which is going to be very interesting as we are kind of leading the nation in that stat. But we have a quarterback of our own. And Kyle, you've been around the program and you've had an opportunity to work with this player. Talk about the development of Caden Salter and what you've seen over the last 3 years of him on the mountain.
Well, I mean, I think this year, specifically, I mean, when he came in young, obviously coming from Tennessee, I mean, just a very raw, skilled player that, and at that time too, we knew that he wasn't going to be eligible. And so he was on scout team and not really focused on learning the offense and, just a young kid, like you expect. It's been fun to watch him this year because he's stacking the games on top of each other. And that's what you want to see from your quarterback. He continues to get better every single game. You're still going to have those young mistakes. I mean, he's still a sophomore. We used to call it fuzzy logic, that the more games you play, the more fuzzy logic that you have in your head and you're able to react to things. I think that, Caden he just continues to stack games and perform at a high level. And so it's fun to see him start to realize like, hey, man, the more that I prepare, the slower the game is and the easier that it is to me. When you go from high school to college, it is like NASCAR. I mean, it is so fast. It's just like boom, 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 boom. Like you cannot, unless you're in that position, understand that how fast the game is at that level. And so for a quarterback coming in as a young kid, like it's a whole new world. And so for him to continue to develop and prepare and stack days, and hopefully he's seeing like, hey, when I prepare, it makes it so much easier. He's performing at a high level. It's just really fun to watch. And I love the swagger that he plays with. He will make a play and he will let you know about it. Like that is very fun to watch. He's on the side. I mean, even when he was not dressed in the games, the strength staff would have to tell him to like chill out because you talked about like needing somebody to talk trash on the sidelines. Just find Caden Salter, and he was letting the defense know that they were garbage and that Malik was going to tear him up, and that and now he's still doing that at the quarterback position. So it's fun to watch from a fan perspective, from a coach perspective. I know Coach Chadwell is probably like, hey, I'm good with you being yourself, but let's not get any selfish penalties here. But he is really fun to watch. I'm really proud of the way that he's continued to progress.
That's awesome context to hear about that. Back when Malik was, doing what Caden's doing now, maybe at a little bit of a larger scale, more consistently than what we've seen so far. We're only 2 games in. Not saying Caden can't get there. I certainly think he can and will. But another guy, Kyle, that I've seen that I think has taken a huge step forward this year, and he was part of the. You were part of the coaching staff when he was recruited. Trayon Sibley at receiver. I think he was originally brought in as a running back, then transitioned to receiver, and he kind of, at least from an outsider's perspective, got lost a little bit as far as he wasn't on the field a lot. And then last year he started to get into the rotation a little bit but wasn't really, he didn't have many targets come his way. It seemed like he was more of a receiver put in there on more blocking type situations for him. But this year he's been targeted very frequently, and I don't have the stats in front of me, but I want to say he's probably been targeted the most of any Liberty wide receiver through the first 2 games. What have you seen out of Trayon that's kind of led him to get to this point and to maybe take that next step that I know I wasn't expecting, and maybe many others weren't as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so happy for him. I mean, he's gone through so much personally, in his home and just on the field, and I mean, he's gone through so much as a 21-year-old kid, and to see him start to excel and play well and play consistently and kind of be a go-to guy is really fun to watch. I mean, he was like running back and then receiver and then back to running back and then back to receiver and then like emergency running back sometimes. I mean, when I was there, he was bouncing around all over the place for positions, and we couldn't really find where he fit. And so it was hard for him to learn. I mean, you're going from one room to another, trying to learn pass protection. Then you're going back and you're trying to learn what route you should run on this concept. So, for him to find his home finally at receiver, last year and then this year, and then really start to excel and make a name for himself and to play at a high level. He's a great person. He's a great kid. He's very kind and humble, and probably give credit to everybody else. But I'm so happy for him that he's having all this, the success that he is. And, he really deserves it because I know that he's worked really hard for it. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. With his jersey number, I thought he was a running back, and I said to Chad in the cabana, I said, "Who was that?" Like, I have no idea. He's a wide receiver. I went, numbers in college don't make sense anymore. So it's so cool.
Was that a cabana? Was that like a low key cabana shout out?
Yeah, shout out Cabana 9. Hope to see you there this season, Kyle. But again, Kyle, thank you so much for joining us. Your insight is super valuable. Really shows us kind of what's going on. You're able to give us insights as a coach, as a former player, and ultimately as a fan, just like the rest of us. So thank you so much for joining us. Next up, we have an opportunity to hear from our friends at Ironclad Coffee. I had some at the tailgate 2 weeks ago. I actually had the opportunity to pour Dr. Towns a cup of coffee. I think I mentioned that before, and I'm going to keep mentioning it because I think it's kind of cool. So Chad, Producer 3000.
Virginia's best and most flames-friendly coffee comes from Ironclad Coffee Roasters. Ironclad roasts and serves up their beautiful beans at 2 cafes in Richmond, where you can enjoy their craft roasted specialty beans from anywhere in the country by visiting www.ironcladcoffee.com. Place your order there, and it will be directly shipped to your doorstep. Whenever you find yourself in the capital of the Commonwealth, pay them a visit at one of their 2 cafes in the Richmond area. Ironclad's owners, the O'Rourke family, are proud Flames Club members and season ticket holders. And now they're pleased to sponsor the podcast from the Sierra. Hop over to www.ironcladcoffee.com now to get your Virginia's best specialty coffee headed your way.
John, I'm not one to tell a lie, but I sure wish my water with lemon and cucumber was some Ironclad coffee right now.
Richie, it was pretty cool. At the game this past Saturday, I was hanging out in the Flames Fan Fest in the indoor practice facility. Had a little bit of weather that was passing through pregame, and a couple of friends of ASOR Red, friends of mine that I've gotten to know over the years, came up to me. They live in Richmond, and they were talking about where's Ryan Ironclad located at? I want to go by and try it out. And which of their shops is Ryan at? And so I need to reach out to Ryan. That reminds me to reach out to him this week and see which shop he's at, which hours he's at that shop, because they wanted to stop by and not just try some Ironclad coffee, but also give Ryan and his family a shout out. So we greatly appreciate their support.
Yeah, and it's so cool. Just the entire Liberty fan base, the way that we are all able to come together, and this year come together to enjoy being in a conference. So nothing, I don't think anything major in the conference really happened. Took place last week, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I know we have a couple big games coming up, but other than a couple in-conference matchups, thoughts? It's good to see Liberty up at the top with a couple others.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a light slate on the docket for the conference this past week. Liberty, New Mexico State, I think, was the most noteworthy game, with it being a conference game. So you got Liberty, Jacksonville State, Louisiana Tech currently are all 1-0. FIU, New Mexico State, UTEP all 0-1, while WKU, Middle Tennessee, and Sam Houston have yet to play a conference game. But one thing other than the Liberty New Mexico State game that we already talked about is I think the other game that I kind of had my eyes on was a Jacksonville State Coastal Carolina game. That was a game that was, I think the Beach Chickens were like 2-touchdown favorites or something like that, and they ended up winning. I think it was 30-16. I think they might have covered the spread, but
Half a point.
Yeah, by half a point. It's 13.5. So but that was a game that was, I think, tied at halftime and a one-possession game going late into the fourth quarter. So Jacksonville State continues to be a team that is surging, in my opinion. I think that, they could contend for one of those top two spots in a Conference USA Championship game at the end of the year. Another team to kind of keep our eyes on is, which Liberty's got next week after the Buffalo game, is down in Miami against FIU. They picked up a nice win over North Texas. They're kind of been a Jekyll and Hyde team this year. They lost to Louisiana Tech with only 4 passing yards that game, and then barely squeaked out one over Maine last week. So, Richard, what have you seen out of the Panthers so far?
Obviously they had that first game that everyone has made fun of a ton across college football Twitter. But like you said, Jekyll and Hyde, and those are the teams that'll scare you because you do not know what you're going to get. You can't really plan for anything. I know that says 130 next to their name, but I'm not buying that they're the 130th best team in college football. I could probably, I'm confident they could beat Northwestern, but that's neither here nor there.
One team that couldn't beat Northwestern is UTEP. I mean,
that is true. Yeah,
weren't they favored in that game, and they lost? I think
it was within a field goal. The spread was a field goal. That was brutal, but no, tough look for that. Would have been a big win for the conference. Big matchup, all eyes. It's a pretty mild slate of college football this weekend, but Western Kentucky, Ohio State is probably the marquee matchup in all of Conference USA. I don't think, obviously Middle Tennessee played Alabama, but that they didn't stand a chance. Western Kentucky, the spread's like 27.5, but I think people think that that'll be more of an entertaining game than MTSU and Alabama. Any thoughts on that, John? Western Kentucky going up to the shoe?
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how close they can keep that a competitive game. I do expect Ohio State to win, probably to pull away there at the end. But can they keep it competitive into halftime, into the third quarter? That's what you're really looking to see. But one thing that I'm really looking forward to, and again, we got a month to go, but that WKU Liberty game is just shaping up to be an absolute amazing game. Both teams have terrific offenses, and it could be one of those games where, take the over because we're scoring points all day long. Austin Reed, Caden Salter, the passing offense of WKU, the rushing offense of Liberty. I can't wait to that game, but one step at a time, one day at a time, 1 week at a time. And that starts this week with Buffalo.
Yeah, and but that Western Kentucky game, that is a game that is going to trend on Twitter. I am very confident in saying that is going to be a game that the nation, because of the time and all that, is going to tune in to see. Speaking of Twitter, we've had the opportunity to throw out on X or Twitter, the Bird, whatever you want to call it, an opportunity to have fans call in, leave a voicemail. And we're going to play one of those now and have a quick conversation before we keep it moving on to bring on a special guest. So,
my question tonight, this is Greg, and I want to know how the Joker Turnover Award got started, who thought of it, and where it came from, and what effect do you think it has had on the fact that the Liberty Flames are leading the nation in turnovers through the first 2 weeks of the season?
that's a crazy stat.
Yeah, that really is a crazy stat. And it's true. Liberty's got 8 turnovers on the year, number 1 in the nation, had 5 interceptions, I believe it was week 1, then 3 turnovers last week with a couple of picks and another fumble recovery. But it's funny, it's a pretty cool story. There was the Chad Scott, the head strength coach for the Liberty football team, the week before the Bowling Green game, was kind of, trying to figure out what was going on, how could they do a turnover prop, which has become famous over the past few years. I think it started at Miami with their turnover chain and so somehow he came up with this Joker mask, and it was just awesome, kind of piggybacking on the Joker student section. Shout out to our friends over there. But it was really cool, and it went viral and saw the kids over there. It was funny, actually, after that game, I was down in the media room in the just outside the Liberty football team locker room, and Coach Scott came into there, and we got to talking about it. I said, "Did you see this Joker mask going viral? Everybody's talking about it." I was like, "Where'd that come from?" He's like, "Well, actually, I came up with it just a few days ago." So it's been pretty cool. But Richie, what do you think? Do you think it's anything to it, tied to leading the nation in takeaways so far through 2 games?
You know what? I think it builds momentum. I think that they know that anytime they make a big play, force a turnover, that they're going to be on Twitter. They're going to be on social media. Everyone's going to see that. So, that intrinsic motivation is huge. And it was really great. Shout out to Emily Austin and company. They did a great segment on it. Talked about cleaning the mask and how they allegedly sanitize the mask after every
Allegedly,
turnover.
are you thinking they're not doing it every time?
I'm not there. I can't prove it either way. But my wife was very confused when they had the shot sidelines of Emily Austin. She's like, "Why is she wearing a Joker mask?" My wife does not stay really up to date with college football or Liberty football, and I had to explain it all to her. But it was super cool to see that. I remember sitting in the cabana with Chad, and we were like, "Did you see this?" We had no idea it happened until we saw it on Twitter, and we're all showing each other like, "Oh my gosh, this is going like legit viral. Like Liberty is being praised, and like this is awesome." So speaking of Chad, we are going to be bringing him on to talk about something that is very exciting, something that is growing at a pretty fast pace, and something that is important in college football today. So, Producer 3000, bring yourself on. Reveal yourself correctly at the appropriate time. Welcome on, former host of the Sea of Red podcast. He needs no introduction. He is Chad Hassan.
Hey, guys. Can you hear me okay?
We hear you good. Chad, before we get started, I think we need to clear the air. Did we fire you? Is that why you're no longer on the podcast?
Well, there's definitely some rumblings of that. And, I think, I'll go ahead and get started and say you guys are doing an awesome job. I love tuning into this every Tuesday night. Richie, you're electric. John, nobody knows more about Liberty football than you, and the combination. The podcast is soaring to new heights, so it's fun to be a part of. Still here producing, which means just bringing on guests and that kind of thing. But tonight, really just wanted to talk about the collective. John, can you bring that slide up? So as many of you know, we started back in May. We started really pushing the Flames Rising Collective. What a collective is basically, and it provides NIL opportunities for Liberty student athletes. So we kind of, we fundraise and we try to make these opportunities and literally just try to make Liberty athletes experience at Liberty even better. I mean, they already have the facilities. They have the best coaches in the country. They have winning at Liberty. They have the culture and the spiritual aspect of the school. They have all of that, and this NIL is just another piece of that. And what the drive for 71 is, it's very important because it helps our collective be sustainable. The more people we have involved, the more sustainable this thing is throughout the years. We're not just depending on 2 or 3 people to get it done. We have a whole army of people. And so you can see right here with this graphic, we have so far, just in 1 week, we have 22. That's what the light blue indicates there in the 71. We have 22 monthly subscribers. There's some really cool benefits that come with that. Everything from, phone calls from players, video messages from players. You get to join phone calls, like virtual meetings with John on like insider type calls, but also with players and coaches. So a lot of really cool benefits associated, but really this is about all of us pulling together. And if you're passionate about the Flames, we said this several times, start with the Flames Club. If you only have one place to give and you're really passionate about seeing the program develop, start with the Flames Club. This is above and beyond that, but it is an increasingly important part of college athletics just to be able to provide this for our student athletes and potential student athletes. So yeah, that's what the drive for 71 is. We're excited about it, been working hard on it, and hoping that we can provide a sustainable, well-funded collective for Liberty athletics for years and years to come, and until the rules change. And shout out to Liberty Compliance for helping us interpret all of the rule changes. We try to stay in tune with that as much as possible, but we need your help. We need 71 people. The lowest level is $10 a month. So you can do the math. That's about $710 a month if we had 71 at the $10. And, that would go a long way in providing our student athletes with great opportunities. Most of the athletes are serving the community as part of the 501c3. So they're out there making a difference in their community, and we're able to compensate them for their name, image, and likeness in doing that. And that feels really good. I know NIL can kind of feel a little bit weird sometimes because it's new to college athletics, and you see the multi-million-dollar deals for players at other schools. That's not happening at Liberty at the G5 level, but I feel really good and about what we're able to do and how we're able to help these athletes out. So drive for 71. We need 71 members. If you sign up tonight or tomorrow as part of listening to this podcast, we will select a winner to win an exclusive Caden Salter jersey tee to kind of celebrate. And so thank you guys for having me on. Again, want to reiterate, you guys are absolutely crushing the podcast. It is one of my favorite nights. I mean, we got Saturday is all college football. Sunday is all NFL football. Monday is Monday Night Football, which last night was kind of crazy. But I look forward to Tuesday. Out of all of that, I look forward to Tuesday to spend this hour and a half with you guys, and all of the people in the comments make it so fun. Kyle knows, has the perspective that none of us have. It just all kind of comes together. So great job on the show. We are going to be working hard on the collective and just producing the podcast. So that's all I got, John.
Thanks, Chad. Awesome stuff, man. Appreciate you. And those of you either watching, you see it on your screen there, or if you're listening, go to flames-way.aseaofred.com. That's where you can go sign up, or you can just go to aseaofred.com. That should be in your favorites. If it's not, what's wrong with you? Hit the drop down menu. There's a Flames Rising Collective tab you can click on and read more, get more information, sign up. But yeah, drive for 71. Obviously, the Liberty was founded in 1971. That's where that came from. So go there and support Flames Rising, while Flames Rising supports Liberty Athletics. And just wanted to give a hat tip to Chad. Really, the main reason why he's not a host on the podcast is because of Flames Rising. He's put so much time into it, and nobody knows how much time he has put into it other than probably myself and his wife. And he's done a great job with it, made great relationships with Liberty Athletics, administration, coaches, and then obviously the donor base as well, which has been extremely receptive and been very generous in this endeavor. But it's just another way, Richie. It's another way for Liberty to be able to be competitive and be one of the best G5 teams in the country, best programs in the country across the board. The Flames Rising Collective supports all sports. It's not just football. It's men's and women's basketball. It's softball. I mean, it's all sports at Liberty, and it's a great way and a way for us to stay competitive across the board in the country at this level.
Exactly. And I'm someone, I lead from the front. I am a monthly subscriber. I am in there. Make sure you join as well. And as John mentioned, it goes to support all of Liberty Athletics. It is not just for football, which is a good thing because our athletics are rocking it right now. And we are going to kick it over to our main man, Zeke, who's going to fill us in on all things, all Liberty, and he's going to do it in under 71 seconds.
What's up, guys? It's Zach, and we are back with the Liberty Sports Recap. Let's get right into it. Women's soccer is still undefeated, defeating Marshall on the road 2-0 this past week. They are 7-0, and they will face App State coming up this Thursday. Field hockey goes 1-1, suffering their first loss of the season to number 13 Duke in overtime. They also defeated number 14 Harvard 2-1 in overtime at home. They will face Old Dominion this Friday. Volleyball defeated number 23 Hawaii for the first win over a ranked opponent in program history. Incredible win for the Flames. They did fall to UCLA and Pepperdine, good teams in the Outrigger Challenge. Volleyball is 7-2 on the year, and they will face number 22 Houston coming up next, and Texas A&M on Thursday and Friday. And last but not least, Liberty football goes to 2-0, 1-0 in conference play, defeating New Mexico State 33-17. This is the Flames' first ever conference win at the FBS level. They will face Buffalo up next this upcoming Saturday at noon for their first road game of the season. Men's golf also finished 8th out of 12 teams this week in their opening invitational, and men's and women's tennis will begin their season this week as well. That's all for this week's Weekly Flames Recap. As always, go Flames!
All right. We are at that time. We are at the back half, the final home stretch of our A Sea of Red Football podcast. Again, if you are checking us out live, make sure you like, subscribe. If you're listening, watching later on, please do the same. But it is that time. We're going to try to win you a little bit of money. We're going to jump in, and we are joined by the man himself, Christian Taylor, CT Cash and Tickets. CT, what do you got for us?
Yeah, what's good? How you doing?
I'm not bad. Pretty good. We're in the home stretch now. Yeah,
no
we're
doubt.
good. Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm probably the last person that should be up here right now, considering I'm in last place in our rankings. I did the worst out of the three of us again this week, but it's okay. I did hit Texas and Miami, so I was definitely excited about that right away.
No, and that was a great money line hit with Texas. I wanted to do it, but I was afraid. I think I was just the absolute killer of the weekend was that the over not hitting in the Liberty game.
Seriously.
That was a travesty. That was a crime.
Yeah, that was awful. I mean, thankfully for myself personally, I teased Liberty in the over, and so that hit for myself. But yeah, just seeing that for this pick, I was not happy at all. I mean, no points in the fourth quarter is outrageous, honestly.
It was insane. I had people texting me, DMing me, like, how is this over not going to hit? It was very similar to the Virginia Tech game last year where the over hit and then they took the 2-point conversion off the board. Absolute debacle. But I am glad I had a good week. I did not start off well. Week 0, week 1, not ideal. But, 3-6. But for you to only lose a unit, not bad at all. We'll take it at the end of the day. There were a lot of close games. that could have gone either way. That JMU game could have swung the other way for you. Ole Miss Tulane, that's a touchdown away from happening.
Mhm.
Jacksonville State, a half a point away from happening. So, you're right there. I get it. We've all been there. But what do you like for us this week?
Yeah, no doubt. Let's go through these pretty quick. First of all, on Friday night, we have Army at UTSA. UTSA has struggled mightily this season. They're not the same as last season. And now their star quarterback, Frank Harris, is hurt. He played through the whole game last week, but he was really fighting through it. So I highly doubt he's going to play, especially the way the coach sounded. So that being the case, Army, they're not an option team anymore, but they're still low scoring. So I still think my Service Academy rule still applies there. The line is 9, so I'm going to tease Army up to plus 15. I get 2 touchdowns with them. I'm going to take the under as well, again, because both teams have been struggling mightily offensively. So that's my first play right there. Second play, I got to show that I'm a Liberty fan, I guess. And we'll get to that in a minute. But I'm going to take Liberty's team total over 27.5. So that means we need to score at least 28 against Buffalo. What we've seen so far, Liberty scored at least 28 both games so far. And when you look at Chadwell and Coastal, the 2 times they played Buffalo, they had at least 28 both times as well. And actually, even though Buffalo had more film on them, they scored more the second game than the first game. So I think that's a good sign for the Flames to hopefully be able to put up 30, 35 or more on Saturday.
I agree. I'm all in on that too. I honestly thought the spread was going to be a touchdown or more. So 3.5, love it.
Absolutely. I mean, the saving grace, I think, is the fact that we're on the road. We get a few points bump there, so hopefully it's pretty good. Next play I have Oregon State minus 24.5 over San Diego State. Oregon State has covered every one of their home games for over 2 years now.
Wow.
Yes. So I'm riding that until the wheels fall off. Their top 5 defense and havoc created this year in terms of turnover, sacks, tackles for loss. San Diego State is bottom 30 offense and havoc allowed. So I think that's a pretty good matchup for Oregon State. It's not too much of a look-ahead spot, which we can start seeing more and more as we get into conference games. And I'm just going to take them to cover at home, no matter what the number is. So I have Oregon State minus 24.5 there. And then next play, I'm doing another teaser because they've worked for me 2 straight weeks. So I'm going to keep on doing them. They pay out and we'll take them. So we're going to start off with Rutgers. That line, it started, and you'll see it with our picks. It started at 4.5. It's already up to 6.5 or 7. I know you like that a lot. And I like it as well. So I'm teasing it down to -0.5. Virginia Tech played Purdue last week, and Purdue was around -1, -2 at Virginia Tech. Now, if you take a look at this line, Rutgers is -7 at Rutgers. If we switch that to Virginia Tech having a home field advantage, that probably gets us to about -3. So essentially, that's saying this line is telling us that Rutgers is the same or better than Purdue, which, sorry, Richie, but I do disagree a little bit there. But then to me, that says, okay, that line is weird. Rutgers is overfavored, so I'm actually going to be on Rutgers' side. But I tease it down. I think they win. And then UConn, I tease down from -8 to -2 over FIU. They're not losing to FIU.
I agree. I think Rutgers rolls.
Yep.
Rutgers raw.
Exactly. I think the wheels are going to fall off at some point, but it's not.
Yeah, next week against Michigan. I can tell you right now. Yeah.
Exactly. And then the final play I have for my locks of the week, Troy -2 at home against JMU. Now, I know I stirred up some controversy about JMU this past weekend when I had them in my teaser, and I was cheering for my bet to win against Virginia. That upset some people. So it is what it is. I'm going to root where my money is, even though I hate JMU. And accordingly, I'm going to fade them this week to make everybody happy and because I think it's a really good line. Troy, I think, are the kings of the Sun Belt this season until I'm told otherwise. And so I really like them to take care of business here and just remind JMU that they're not at the top yet, just yet. So last play is going to be Troy -2.
I was hoping we could get through a podcast without talking about JMU because it's been all over my Twitter feed. But money is money, and
Exactly.
I totally get it. So, CT, I think this is the week you bounce back. I love your picks. I'm all in. And it is that time where we get to bring in our guest picker for the week. Now, this is probably the guest picker I'm going to be most excited for this entire season. He is a slayer of Baylor Bears. He is the king of prom pictures, and he is the winner of Liberty's first ever bowl game. He is number 12. He is your favorite quarterback's favorite quarterback. He is Buckshot Calvert. Buckshot, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It means a lot. That's good words.
You deserve it. It was great. Got a chance to meet you at the bowl game this past year. And I was saying earlier, I've met a bunch of Liberty athletes before. You're the only one I ever said, I got to get a picture with Buckshot. Sent it to my roommates. I was like, here's the GOAT right here. Never forget when we beat Baylor. But we're happy to have you on and ready to talk some college football. Any thoughts about college football this season? Anything that sticks out?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is what everybody's talking about, Coach Prime at Colorado. For me, I tuned into both of their games. I'm keeping up with Liberty and then my home team, Miami Hurricanes. So those are really my three teams right now that I'm tuned into the most, and I'm enjoying watching. I like FSU because they're from Florida, they're putting on a good show right now. But those are really the few teams right now that I'm tuned into consistently each week.
Well, those four teams you just mentioned, you are having a pretty fun Saturday so far. And hopefully those teams keep it rolling. So we're going to jump right in. We all like Liberty minus 3.5. I don't think anyone can come on here and kind of go against that. So, Buckshot, you're the only one to take a side in our second game, Ohio State, Western Kentucky. What are your thoughts there? Ohio State really hasn't had that impressive game yet. You think this is when they kind of put it all together?
Yeah, I don't think Western Kentucky could keep up with them. Just my opinion, just what Ohio State brings to the table. I know West Kentucky, their offense is pretty electric. They put up a few amount of points, but I just think they won't be able to hang. I think it'll be a complete blowout.
It is. That Ohio State wide receiver room they got.
Yeah, they're loaded.
They got three guys that are going to go in the first round. Trayvon Henderson's a great running back. A game we're split on. Some are calling it the Crime Bowl. Not me, but New Mexico State, New Mexico. We're split there. CT, what are you seeing in this game? Buck and I are on the New Mexico side. New Mexico State, you're on UNM. What do you see with that, CT?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, John is on New Mexico, so I already like that. That was the first sign for me. John was on it, so I'm on it as well with his current success. But, I mean, as well, I'm just not high in New Mexico State. They made the bowl game last year, but if you take a look at their wins, we were probably their best win, and we know the state of the team during that game. So they had 2 FCS wins. They had UMass. I just wasn't very impressed. So this season, I'm going to be fading New Mexico State as much as possible. And so this spot, I do like New Mexico. I also, Jerry Kill might not be coaching. It sounds like there's some medical things going on with him. And so he's really the key to their team in a way. I mean, along with Pavia. But he's brought a big energy to that team. So without him, I don't know what they're going to be able to bring. So I'll take New Mexico.
Going to be an interesting one. A game like that, 1 point swing at that point. Just go with money line. So next game up, Virginia, Maryland. Gross football game. It's just the jerseys are going to be terrible. I can't even begin to think they're going to have this on Big Ten plus. It is going to be an ugly game. Buckshot, I'm shocked. You strike me as the guy that just blindly take overs and ride it to the bank. What's with the underplay here?
I just don't feel like, in my opinion, I don't really keep up with them that much. It's just basically what I know, and just off the schools. I don't really see Virginia putting up too much points. I know Maryland, they're pretty electric on the offensive side of the ball, but I think they'll keep Virginia down to around 14, 17 points max. So I just feel like it'll be a low-scoring game. some good defense being played, and that's why I put the under.
I like that play now that I see the number and I think about, Virginia not being very good, going on the road. I could see that as well. I'm going to take the Rutgers game. Keep riding Rutgers. Hoorah, hoorah, Rutgers, rah. I have ties to Rutgers. Go Rutgers. Next game up, going to be interesting. Washington, Michigan State. Michigan State, new coach. Who's the interim? I love Washington. Big Michael Penix guy. CT, what are you feeling?
Yeah, basically the same as you. Big Michael Penix fan, and it's really tough to know what the state of that Michigan State team is currently. So I'd rather go ahead and take Washington. I'd take them up to 3 touchdowns probably.
And you just never know. Like, who's that interim coach going to be? How are those players going to respond? So Tennessee, Florida. Buckshot, you mentioned you like Miami, you like Florida State. Am I sensing some hatred towards the Gators?
I mean, my whole life, honestly, it's been both FSU and Florida. But I always root for Florida teams when they're doing good and making runs and stuff like that. I just think Tennessee's gonna outpower them, outdog them. They're not really showing too much this season. The games that they played already, I just feel Tennessee outpowers them and probably beats them by 2 touchdowns, in my opinion.
I agree. It's probably where I'm going to end up. Florida lost to Utah, and Utah looked pretty bad against Baylor. So I'm shocked that spread is only 7.
That's where it gets tricky at.
And right, you're right at that touchdown line. You're like, how, which way is it going to go? The game's at Florida. Swamp's always a tough place to play.
Exactly.
All right, 2 more games. Pittsburgh, West Virginia. We got a little rivalry action. CT, what are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it's a big rivalry. Both these teams hate each other. The fan bases hate each other. And so I think both teams are really built, especially West Virginia, for a game in the trenches. And so because of that, I think there's going to be a lot of running clock, a lot of long drives. And so because of that, I'm going to go ahead and take the under.
Love it. I like West Virginia because Djokovic, whatever his name is, has pissed off the entire Pittsburgh fan base last week and insulted them all. So that was interesting to me.
No doubt. And then, Buck, final game. We have Colorado State. So I know you said that you've been following Colorado, Coach Prime, a lot. It sounds like you like what you've seen so far. So tell us what you think is going to happen in this game.
Man, I think blowout. I see a blowout. Shedeur Sanders, what he's doing right now with the ball in his hand is amazing. Travis Hunter, I'm a big fan when he gets on the offensive side of the ball, especially his deep threat ability, and they spread the ball out a lot. They got a lot of Florida receivers on their team that make big plays for them, and I think they're just loaded with great coaching staff, and I honestly don't see this game being close. That's basically what I see. I know it's going to be a good game to watch. I just think it's going to be a blowout.
That's good.
Yeah. And you got College Game Day and the Fox kickoff show both there. So this is going to be a game that all eyes are over in the state of Colorado. So Buckshot, we're going to be tracking to see how you do. Right now, Sam went 6-2. He set the bar pretty high. I don't think we've decided what the winning picker is going to get, but we are so grateful that you joined us and for all the time that you put into Liberty and the incredible moments that we got the opportunity to watch. And we've always joked and said, man, if you were around during NIL, you would have cleaned up. You would have all the Lynchburg businesses like, hey, can you come into the car dealership? People would have
missed it by 1 year.
See that. Yeah, no. But we'll take care of you. You come up to Lynchburg. We'll make sure we roll out the red carpet. And
cool. I'm gonna try to make the homecoming game this year for sure.
Absolutely, Chad. Take note. So we'll be in touch for sure, Buck. And
cool.
Enjoy the rest of your night and good luck this Saturday.
Sweet. Thank you guys.
Got it.
Appreciate
we'll see
it.
you. All right, CT. We made it. We're on to week 3 where we're getting closer to conference play. Mr. like 75%. Welcome back, John. Muted. You back? No, John's not back.
I'm back now. You got me now?
Now you're back. Yeah, I got you now.
Sorry about that amateur hour over here. But I was going to say, why'd you guys boot me out of that segment? You know, I'm too good for it.
Something
we only did that so we could sell your picks at a later date. So we're just trying to think a little bit further down the line. But
I got it.
We made it. Another week in the books. Tuesday night. There's no other place I'd rather be than getting to chat Liberty football, Liberty athletics with everyone here, talking gambling with CT. John, any last words?
Man, a great show. I really appreciate Buckshot coming on, man. I mean, he's one of my all-time favorites to wear the Liberty red, white, and blue. And you can never take away that win over Baylor that he had. That was so much fun. I was down there for that game, and that's one of the lasting memories I'll ever always have of Liberty football. And Buckshot and AGG, they're coming out party. There you go, Jake. Name a better duo, Buckshot and AGG. We have not been able to find an AGG since. I know we had DeMario. He's a different type of player, receiver, but AGG was just next level, and Buckshot was the gunslinger, bringing it to him each and every week. They were so much fun to watch play, and so thankful for him to have on the podcast, and looking forward to, if he's up in homecoming, we got to get him into Cabana number 9. Isn't that right, Richie?
I might have to make the trip up to get into to Cabana 9 for homecoming, because I'm sure it would be a good time. Might rival that suite we had down in Boca. But as always, thank you everyone for tuning in. Make sure you get the chance to like and subscribe. It really helps us out a ton. Enjoy the week, enjoy the game Saturday, and as always, stay hydrated, stay blessed, and stay fly. Go Flames. We'll see you next Tuesday.